Well, I got a very unexpected package today. It's from a old colleague of mine and a mentor. His name is Bill Werrback. I met Bill through the SPGA, the Society of Professional Graphic Artists, and this was back in the late '80s. And he was pretty much the person who taught me how to run my business. I learned so much from him: contracts, ethics. A lot of the members of the SPGA, we would meet once a month and we get together and we talk about professional things. And this is long before I knew about the Graphic Artists Guild. And it was through them that I learned how to run my business. And Bill was a very key figure in all that. He's long since been retired. And apparently he sent me a book. Bill has been enjoying his retirement. His daughter lives with him. He's in his 90s, and he tells me that he paints nearly every day, though I haven't spoken to him in quite a while. Several months. But the last time I spoke to him, he was fine. Look at all this duct tape. This is going to be quite the interesting unpacking job. I want to make sure that I don't damage whatever book is in here. Let's see. This is very exciting. Now, I wonder if it's could be a book he wrote. It could be it could be anything. Maybe it's a compilation of his works. Maybe it's a book in which his works are featured. That would be nice. I've always liked the way he's painted. It's very protected. Maybe it is something related to the SPGA. Oh, good Lord. Look at, I'm beginning to see the wrapping. And has a letter. It is a book of his collected works. I was right. My Three Lives, Family Man, Commercial Artist, Fine Artist, William Werrback. And there's his logo. I haven't seen that in a long time. And there's a picture of him with his dog at his artist table. And there's a letter. Let's see what this says. Dear Mr. Monlux, hello. I am Julie, daughter of Bill Werrback. I'm writing this note in apology for the delay in Dad's response to your nice letter and book you sent him quite some time ago. Dad immediately wrote you back and asked me if I would type this letter for him, as his handwriting was getting hard to read. I took his draft and set it on my computer desk with the intention of typing it right away and mailing it off to you. It is entirely my fault that his letter did not reach you in a timely manner. I will explain. My 10-year-old grandson was visiting. He took over my computer, desk, chair, and office area. I did not let him use my computer, but he was always messing up my paperwork on the desk. Feet on the keyboard, food bowls, cookies, cups, etc. I didn't want to lose Dad's letter to you, so I put everything that was on my desk into a file folder and set the folder in a closet nice and safe. A couple weeks later, my brother came to stay with us for an extended visit. So now he was using my computer and desk space, which meant I still had to stuff all my pending work in the folder in my closet to be done at a later date. After a few months, the box in the closet was full, and another box was sitting on top of it, gathering new papers, things to file, general mail that I didn't know what to do about, etc. As time passed, I had a nagging feeling I was negligent in typing in Dad's letter. I managed to work on some of the newer work to do, but never got back into the bottom box of the closet. Every time I thought about it, I closed my eyes and cringed. Oh gosh, why can't I get it done? What's the matter with me? I knew it was very late to send a thank you letter, and there were piles of other papers to go as well. The opportunity finally came. By sending you Dad's book, I can squeeze in my apology and his thank you letter for your delightful book, The Comic Critic Presents Blockbusters, which also gives me a chance to let you know that 4 generations in this household have passed your book around, and each one of them found plenty to laugh about. I saw him in there, Don Knotts, the ghost and Mr. Chicken. My mother always said that laughter is a spontaneous burst of knowledge. Your book was something for our 10-year-old all the way up to 95-year-old great-grandpa. Nice work. Sincerely, Julie Werrback. And of course my phone goes off during that. Well, I am going to have to call the Werrback household later today and thank them for sending me along this wonderful book of Bill's. Let's take a peek inside. So here's Bill's book. I'm just going to open up to a random page. This must be back during World War II. Bill and other people started the Graphic Artists Guild. Oh, some of his early oil work. Back in just after World War II, I'm really looking forward to this. Oh, there's another letter. Let's read this. June 3rd, 2020. No, it hasn't been that long. Hi, Mark. I'm sorry I have taken over a year to respond to the wonderful package containing your delightful books and stories about your family activities. I have no excuse except that I'm 95 years old, a 95-year-old artist, and trying to enjoy life and do a little painting. I finished my book before Christmas, after nearly 2 years of working the old-fashioned way, making layouts for each page and paste ups with type and photos. Oh, wow. My son converted the pages to a digital format in an Illustrator program and sent it to the printers. You will find my story about the Society of Professional Graphic Artists in Chapter 11, page 31. I share your admiration for our departed friend Dan. He was a fine man, and you and he were always supporters of our many causes to make conditions better for commercial artists in the Northwest. The SBGA was fortunate to have your commitment in activism. Thank you, Bill. I am glad you were able to preserve the history of the organization at the Tacoma Museum. Thank you for contacting me. It was great to hear from an old friend. Best regards, Bill. Well, that is true. Dan Ballard, who also had Bill as a mentor, he and I basically joined the SBGA at roughly the same time. And he became sort of like the chapter historian. And he kept everything. All the membership forms, all the promotional materials, all the newsletters, everything. And he did a pretty good job of archiving and also creating a bit of a history. He even interviewed Bill and transcribed several of those. When he died, I got a hold of all those materials, and the local library here in Tacoma has a large historical archive. And once I told them what I had in my hands, that this was a professional group that had been around since World War II, and all the rich resources, all the history, they gladly took it. So it was like 18 boxes of material, but this is how well Dan had done. He had condensed a lot of it so that when we went through, we only found duplicates for about, I would say, maybe 4 or 6 boxes worth of stuff that we actually discarded. Things like the third, fourth, and fifth copy of a newsletter when we already had 2 copies of a newsletter. And we're talking over decades, so it was quite a collection. Thank you, Bill, for sending me this book. I'm going to give you a call and let you know I got it. And that's today's unwrapping. And it was a long one, 10 minutes.